Hi, welcome back. This is Nick Agram. In this series of videos, I will be discussing all about functions, everything that you know about functions. And to start with our discussion about functions, we're going to discuss the Cartesian plane. Cartesian plane. And other names for Cartesian plane is the coordinate system, the Cartesian coordinate system, XY axis, XY plane, XY graph. There are a lot of names for this. And why it is important to discuss function, I will define relation first. Before that, a relation is any set of points which connect two variables. So we need two variables, and you can see here we have a variable x and a variable y. And when we have two variables, then we have a pair of numbers, and we call it a point, so we can point it out. For example, if we have 1 and 2, this is point 1 and 2. So this is the point that we have. As you can see, we have a pair of numbers. Then the pair of numbers is called the x and y coordinate. In your GPS, in our maps, we always use the x and y coordinate. We have the latitude and the longitude. Okay. And in the first quadrant, in the first quadrant, we always have positive and positive. Our x is always positive and our y is always positive. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that the horizontal axis is called x-axis and the vertical axis is called y-axis. The point of intersection there in the middle is called the origin. Okay, let's continue. The second axis, second quadrant. Why am I telling axis? You can see we always start with the x. So as you can see here on the left hand side of the vertical line, we have, or left hand side of the origin, we have the negative x. So our x here is negative, but still our y is positive. So it's very important to know when you plot your points later. I am not going to do that because you should have learned that before in graphing points. Okay, in the third quadrant is we have still negative for the x, and as you can see under the origin is also a negative, so we have also the y is negative. And then you see like emojis, and in the fourth quadrant, then we have for x is positive and for y is negative. Okay, it's very important. This is just a review. I know you already know about it. Now let's define relations, because relations is very related to functions. A relation is any set of points which connect two variables. So if I'm going back to my Cartesian plane here, this is a point, this is another point, this is another point, and another point there, and another point. Those are relations. Okay? It doesn't have any order when we call relations, as long as you have any set of points. Okay, and then we have the function. A function, sometimes called a mapping, is a relation of which no two different ordered pairs have the same x coordinate or first component. So let's see. For example, I have my x here. I will put it here, and then I have x sub 1, x sub 2, and then x sub n. And I have my y here. We do the mapping, that what they call y sub 1, y sub 2, and then so on to y sub n. As long as no two different ordered pairs have the same x coordinates. So we have x there to y, x2 to y sub 2, x sub n to y sub n. Then this is called one-to-one relationship, and this is a function. Okay? It is also allowed to have maybe another color. It is also to have, I will do this again, x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, and then x sub n. This is our x. And then our y, y sub 1, y sub 2, y sub 3, to y sub n. It is also allowed as long as have the same x coordinates. So if I have x sub 1 goes to y sub 1, and my x sub 2 goes to y sub 1, then this is also allowed. Even I have y sub 3 goes to y sub 1, y sub 3. It doesn't matter how many x goes to y, to the value of y, it is also allowed. Okay? And there are a lot of functions. This is now we call the linear function. Oh, see, the Swedish pronunciation. Swedish spelling. Function. And then this now is, we have the polynomial function. But if we have only two, then we have the quadratic function. Then we have the polynomial function. Wherein your root is more than 2. Quadratic, in linear function, you have only one root. Okay, one-to-one correspondent. Here you have 2 roots. Here we have 3 or more roots. And then we have the exponential function. We have also the logarithmic function. And we have also what we call the rational function. Okay, all of these functions you're going to study in your study of algebra and calculus. There is also a test, aside from this mapping, there is also a test that you can do. It is called the geometric test. Why? Because if you can draw a line, and you meet only the graph only one time at one point, as you can see here, or cross the graph at one point, then it is a function. This is a function. This is an exponential function. Okay, if I will do this also, then I only cross the graph at one point, then this is also a function. It is called, I have 3, that is polynomial function in the 3rd degree. And if I will do this one, then I will cross the graph into points. Then this is not a function. So as you can see, there are a set of pairs of numbers, but if I'm going back to the definition of a function, it says here that is a relation of which no two different ordered pairs have the same x coordinate. So if I will call this, I will take another. If I will call this point as x sub 1 and y sub 1, and this point as x sub 2, or the same, I have the same x there, x sub 1 and y sub 2. Then I have two pairs of numbers with the same x coordinate. And the definition, it doesn't allow for that. That is why the third one here is not a function. But this is a very good test. Just do the graph and then make a vertical lines. If you meet only one or you cross the graph once every time, then you have a function. But it doesn't, then you don't have any function. Okay. In my next video, I will be discussing function notation.